On the 12th of June 2021, during a Euro 2020 match between Denmark and Finland in Copenhagen, in one of the most horrifying moments in football history, 5 minutes before halftime while trying to receive a throw-in, Danish superstar Christian Eriksen would suffer a cardiac arrest and would subsequently collapse lifelessly to the ground. Immediately after he collapsed, some of the players around him quickly discovered that something was wrong, and his friend and captain of the Danish national team, Kjaer, quickly discovered that his friend had indeed suffered a cardiac arrest and proceeded to deliver first aid treatment by putting him on his side and preventing his tongue from blocking his airways before delivering CPR as the medics arrived on the pitch.
We've seen it a couple of times, and he was just running towards the ball and stumbled.
Out of the window right now, and you're thinking about his family, all the rest of the players that are out there witnessing it as well. And I think it's a reminder of how quickly life can change, just like that.
A cardiac arrest, according to the Wikipedia definition, is when the heart suddenly and unexpectedly stops beating, and is a medical emergency that without immediate medical intervention will result to sudden cardiac death within few minutes. An unfortunate situation which we would later come across in the video. Over 13,000 fans present at Parken Stadium that fateful evening were visibly horrified, and so were the millions watching at home. Kjaer was definitely the biggest hero of this unfortunate situation, and just like a true captain, he immediately directed his teammates to form a ring around their fallen teammate for privacy as he continued to receive treatment. Some of them couldn't even look as they were seen facing the opposite direction, looking dejected, with some even praying to God, hoping for a miracle. Eriksen was technically gone for 5 whole minutes. Fear, panic, sorrow, and a deafening silence descended upon the stadium. None of the visibly horrified people in that stadium were as horrified as Sabrina Kvist, the wife of Christian Eriksen, who was seen weeping inconsolably while goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel and also Simon Kjaer were trying to console her.
I ran over to her and, just didn't know what to say. Horrible thing that social media is and all. She'd obviously read, of course, and heard, and everyone's saying, he's gone.
Credit should also be given to the referee of the match, Anthony Taylor, for using his experience to quickly read the situation, realizing that Eriksen going down in that manner without anybody around him meant that something was wrong, as sometimes incidents like that are usually overlooked without any actual knowledge of the severity of the situation. Minutes later, Eriksen was stretchered off the pitch, with even Finland fans seen chanting his name as he was taken to hospital. While everybody had the nervous wait, many key figures in world football took to social media to post their thoughts and prayers, with messages such as "Eriksen, please," which was posted by his then teammate Ashraf Hakimi, along with others such as "Shocked, we're all with you Christian Eriksen, please be okay. Fight for your life, #Eriksen, we pray for you. Our thoughts and prayers are with Christian Eriksen and his family. The world of football stands together hoping for good news. I'm counting on finding you soon back on the pitch. Chris, stay strong." His former club Tottenham also joined with a tweet, "All our thoughts are with Christian Eriksen and his family," with also his current club at the time, Inter Milan, posting, "Forza Chris, all of our thoughts are with you." Fabrice Muamba, a player who also suffered from the same thing 9 years earlier, also tweeted, "Please God." An hour later, news came out that Eriksen has now been stabilized and was indeed alive.
Christian Eriksen, the Danish footballer who collapsed with a cardiac arrest during his team's opening match in the Euros, is said to be in a stable and good condition in hospital.
Much to the delight of everyone in the stadium and the viewers watching at home. But this happiness soon turned into disgust for some when UEFA released this statement shortly after. Following the request made by players of both teams, UEFA has agreed to restart the match between Denmark and Finland tonight at 7:30. The last 4 minutes of the first half will be played. There will then be a 5-minute halftime break followed by the second half. This sparked outrage from some fans who felt UEFA were being greedy and should have postponed the match out of respect for Eriksen, but it was later revealed that the players had 3 options. It was that they either forfeit the match and lose 3-0 by default, or they play the match by noon the following day, or that they continue from where they had stopped before the awful incident. The players went for the final option and decided to continue the match only after they confirmed that Eriksen was okay. As you would imagine, they went on to lose the match 1-0, as it turns out that getting an entire squad who had just witnessed their teammates' near-death experience to win a game of football proved to be one of the most difficult things to ever be done. Later that night, during Belgium's 3-0 win over Russia in St. Petersburg, a teammate of Eriksen at Inter Milan, Romelu Lukaku, would make an emotional tribute towards his friend.
My mind was with my teammate Christian. I hope he's healthy, and I dedicate this performance to him. I cried a lot because I was scared. Obviously, we lived strong moments together for a year and a half. I spent more time with him than with my family.
2 days later, during a highly entertaining 3-2 win for the Netherlands over Ukraine, Daley Blind, a former teammate and friend of Christian Eriksen, while they were both at Ajax, would be seen leaving the pitch in tears, as he, better than most people, know exactly what it feels like to suffer from a heart problem. The following day, on the 15th of June 2021, Christian Eriksen would release his public message. Big thanks for your sweet and amazing greetings and messages from all around the world. It means a lot to me and my family. I'm fine under the circumstance. I still have to go through some examinations at the hospital, but I feel okay. Now I will cheer on the boys on the Denmark team in the next matches. Play for all of Denmark. Speaking of playing, Eriksen actually knew he was still going to play football as soon as he was alright, but at first he was quite skeptical. On the way to the hospital, I told Sabrina I may as well leave my boots here. It changed 2 days later. It was in the moment. I recognized what happened to me later on that night and the next few days. Then all the tests started and all the knowledge started to come in and all the questions were being asked. Can I do this? Can I do that? And listen to the doctors. Well, you could understand the reason why he was being skeptical in the beginning, considering a cardiac arrest isn't just a regular health emergency or issue that you could be guaranteed an easy road back into football in the long run, mainly because this has something to do with someone almost losing their lives, as there have been several incidents in the past where some of the results have been painfully undesirable. Remember this tweet from earlier in the video? Yes, Fabrice Muamba. In 2012, during an FA Cup match between Tottenham and Bolton Wanderers, Fabrice, playing for Bolton, suddenly collapsed to the floor 43 minutes into the match and was reportedly out for 78 minutes. The attack was so severe it took 4,500 watts of electric shock to bring him back to life, and upon the advice of his doctors, he hung up his boots 5 months later. However, someone else who suffered this 9 years earlier unfortunately wasn't as lucky. A Cameroonian international, Marc-Viven Foe, while playing for his country in a Confederations Cup match against Colombia in the 73rd minute in Lyon, suddenly collapsed to the ground due to a heart issue. But unfortunately for him, despite all efforts to revive him, Marc was declared dead. Daley Blind was lucky enough to detect his heart problem before any serious damages could be done, as during a Champions League match between Ajax and Valencia in December 2019, he experienced dizziness, after which he was later diagnosed with heart muscle inflammation, and he was also subsequently fitted with a pacemaker to help regulate his heartbeat. And lastly, Sergio Aguero was forced to retire last year after experiencing a heart problem while playing for Barcelona. The point is that a cardiac arrest is a pretty big deal and is something that once it happens, more often than not, players are usually advised to retire in order to avoid future issues. But with the continuous advancement of technology, the likelihood of continuing to play is becoming greater, and in Eriksen's case, he was going to get back to doing what he loves sooner rather than later. On the 18th of June, 6 days after that incident, Eriksen would undergo surgery to have an implanted cardioverter defibrillator, also known as an ICD for short, inside of his body, so it could help regulate his heartbeat by using electric shocks to normalize it whenever any irregularity is found. The next day he was discharged, after which he would release yet another message in which he says, "Thank you for the massive number of greetings. It has been incredible to see and feel. The operation went well and I'm doing well under the circumstances. It was great to see the guys again after the fantastic game they played last night. No need to say that I will be cheering them on Monday against Russia." To say that his teammates were simply just good on the night against Russia is a massive understatement, as an emotionally driven Denmark team went on to thrash Russia 4-1 in Copenhagen to narrowly qualify from their group. They continued this onslaught in the knockout stages as they went on to thrash Wales 4-0 in the round of 16 before defeating Czech Republic 2-1 in the quarterfinals. The semi-finals was where everything ended for them, as they were just only outdone by an extra time winning penalty from England skipper and former Eriksen teammate Harry Kane. Nonetheless, despite that defeat, everybody was proud of their gutsy performance throughout the tournament. In August of that year, Kjaer and the medics were honored with Fair Play Awards for the role they played in keeping Eriksen alive. In late October of 2021, Eriksen returned to Inter to finally resume his football career, but would immediately be met with bad news. According to Italian football regulations, the use of the ICD device that was implanted inside of his body was prohibited. This presented a problem, How was he supposed to get back to football? He can't, for the sake of playing for Inter, risk getting the device that would help save his life in the future removed, and so this led to one option and one option alone.
Christian Eriksen's contract at Inter has been terminated after he was suspended from playing because he's had a cardiac device fitted.
In January of 2020, on deadline day, he returned to the Premier League, signing a short-term deal to play for Brentford. He made his first international appearance for Denmark since the cardiac arrest incident and had a return which would only be scripted in movies when he came on during their match against the Netherlands to score with his first touch of the ball. 287 days since he was stretchered off, uncertain whether he was going to ever play football again, and then this. The perfect return he could ever have hoped for. Despite his team's loss, the only thing people truly cared about in Denmark was that their star player was back. Now that Eriksen was back, his talents needed somewhere bigger to shine. He is one for the big stage. After all, he is the man that was once constantly linked with Real Madrid at one point in his career. And so in July 2022, Eriksen became a Manchester United player. Playing alongside Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro and so on, together they hope to finally lead Manchester United out of their decade-long decline.